Termites. It's night 19. See how fast this is going? Isn't it wonderful? How do you like my Whooville tree? I got this at Kroger, and I actually got two, and the guy the first one wouldn't scan, and he was like, you know what? You can just have that. What? It's a $20 freebie right here. Because then he scanned the second one, and it worked. He could have scanned them both, but he was just being very nice. And the thing is, this is a lemongrass cypress, and when we're done with the holidays, I'm going to plant it. And I will let you know if it grows. It smells really good, though, and I don't really have a good sense of smell. It's another reason I'll never know if I have COVID, because I can't smell anything. Not really. Okay, what are we drinking? Oh, my God, I almost forgot. I muled this back from Colorado. Breckenridge bourbon whiskey. Delicious, right? Whiskey with snow melt water from the Rocky Mountains. I don't know how much I actually believe that, but it's a great bottle. I like it, and it looked tasty. So, nothing will ever beat J-Mo. I tried Conor McGregor's too, his proper 12. Not as smooth as J-Mo. Just saying. Although I like his ad. His commercial is cute. Okay, we're talking about Loretta. She wanted to buy Tammy's house after Tammy died, but she didn't get it. Another voice that I heard that caused me chills was a great big one coming from a little girl, and that little girl was Tanya Tucker. Oh my God, we already know everything about her because we done read it, and then we got gone. And now we're moved on. We've moved on. We got gone, and we moved on. That little girl was a Tanya Tucker belting out Delta Dawn. You ain't never going to mistake Tanya for nobody else on the radio or in person. If you follow Tanya's Instagram, I would 100% agree with that. Now, Tanya is a lot like Patsy Cline when it comes to her saying what she means. Folks don't ever have to wonder what Tanya's thinking because Tanya going to tell you. That's right. I love that girl. Tammy loved her too. And for the same reason I do, she don't try to be anything she ain't. She's just always herself. Tanya's one of them people, if she's your friend, she's really your friend. You don't have to have all that many friends in show business. You don't have all that many friends in show business. Not real friends. You got people who want to run around with you or get something from you. But the true blue friends is hard to come by. Tanya is that one that will do anything for you. If you're sick, she'll fill in for you in a minute. If you don't need filling in for, she might just bring you some potato soup to cheer you up. Well, that's nice. We started being friends with me acting like a mother hen over her at the award shows. I still remember the 1973 Country Music Award show when we was both up for female vocalist. Tanya was only 14 years old, same as me when I was a newlywed. Oh, so many memories of 14. Remember when I got married? Nope. Remember when I was at an award show? Nope. 14, what was I doing? Probably trying gymnastics, trying to be Olga Corbett. That's what I used to say. I was Olga Corbett on the carpet. And the irony is I can't even do a proper cartwheel. I was very inspired by the Olympics, I guess. Whatever Olympics that was. Tanya was only 14 years old. That was an exciting year for me. I won Female Vocalist, and Conway and me won Duo of the Year. Tanya later said she would have felt funny winning against adults, but I, for one, wouldn't have felt bad losing to her. Well, it's not as hard to lose to a kid. Because what are you going to do, not give the kid the trophy? Well, they fucking didn't. That's what's going down in country music. It's cutthroat. Bitch, if your song ain't as good as that, ladies, you ain't getting it. You ain't getting no trophy. Delta Dawn was quite a record. Tanya looked so cute that night, and I fussed over the whole time, fixing her hair, making sure her straps didn't show. It tickled me to death to see her so excited to meet all the stars. The first song she'd ever done on stage with Ernest Tubb was one him and me had out on the charts. Sweet thing. I still try to mother Tanya. Just this year, she come out to help me open my museum at Hurricane Mills. We'd done a big show, and Tanya was on the stage with me dancing around a flippy little skirt. I could see she was just itching to flip it up a little too high. So I eased over and whispered, "Do it and die, Tanya." She laughed her butt off, but she didn't flip that skirt. Smart lady. I can't leave this section without mentioning my sister, Crystal Gale. Well, that's been a long time coming in this book. Granted, I think Crystal Gale's probably 10 to 12 years younger, but still, a lot of people don't know that. And sometimes I wonder if they don't want people to know that. And Crystal Gale's hair freaks me out. It's like a haunted house. I can't deal with it. It's just too long. I was always hoping to help my family get started in the record business because so many of them had so much talent. Jay Lee was playing guitar and fiddle out on the road time. I was on the road singing. My sister Peggy Sue was a wonderful singer and songwriter. Both of them made some good records too. Jay Lee charted 3 songs on Decca between 67 and 71, and the one who had the biggest success was Crystal, also known as Brenda Gale Webb. What? Her music was different from mine because her background was different. Crystal grew up in Wabash, Indiana, not Butcher Holler. Well, I guess you're saying that's a bit of an upgrade. We don't sing anything alike, and we don't talk anything alike. I helped Crystal on Decca write her first song in the 1970s. I've cried the blues right out of my eyes. She moved over to United Orders a few years later and started having more hits like Wrong Road Again. I don't know that. Somebody Loves You. Nope. And her first number 1, 1976, I'll Get Over You. I don't remember that either. She had hits all through the 70s and 80s on several labels. I believe I saw that Dan Rather interview on Access TV. It's called The Big Interview. It's good. It's a lot of old people, but it's interesting. And Dan has really good questions, but sometimes Dan shows his age. Like he had Ann Wilson from Heart on there, and she said she quit drinking wine. And then he goes, how long have you been off the grape? Dan, nobody says I'm on or off the grape. Maybe they did in the 1800s. I don't know. But I've never heard that. She had, didn't she sing, don't it make my brown eyes, don't it make my brown eyes blue? I think so. So the ones they're mentioning I've never even heard of, but I know there's ones I have heard of. Here's one of the sorriest things about the music business. Time is too often the enemy. Crystal's music was always pop or torch. Now that she's no longer on a major label, most of the women are singing pop music, and Crystal ain't on the charts. She sings better than anybody out there right now, and nobody's playing her. One idea I have is for me, Peggy Sue, and Crystal to record an album together. We'll see what happens, though. Crystal wants to cut a bunch of pop songs, and I want to stay country. Finally, I went out and bought $600 worth of CDs with the kind of songs I thought we could do real good together. I said, all right, Crystal, you and Peggy pick out 15 songs you want to record, and we'll be in the studio before you can say fried bologna gravy. I'm going to start using that. I'm going to say it in front of my siblings and see if they even know what I meant. Well, sure. We can get that done before you can say fried bologna gravy. I didn't know fried bologna even came with gravy. That's a whole new thing I'm going to have to Google. That same year, Tammy came into my life. Oh, by the way, we're on chapter 14. It's called Hello, Darlin', page 123 for you page nerds. That same year, Tammy came into my life. I met the person who would be my best male friend of all time, my duet partner, business partner, father, confessor, and soulmate. And I could have said all that in front of Doolittle Lynn without him pitching a fit, because he loved Conway Twitty as much as I did, too. Conway loved Do, too. It all seems strange that the two of them hit it off so big. Do usually liked hanging out with the drinkers. Why don't we just write drinkers? And believe me, he could find plenty of them in Nashville during the 70s. Conway didn't touch a drop. Both of them had a sense of humor, was hard workers, and was honest in their business dealings. Even with their honesty, or maybe because of it, both of them had seen plenty of their businesses go belly up. How about the hunting lodge? We're going to talk about that in the most remote part of Canada. That we just forgot about that. Even though they mentioned it, we're just moving on. Just close it. Fuck it. Maybe something they understood about each other. It was Owen Bradley that introduced me to Conway, but it was Dew and Conway that bonded and got us started recording together. It was all started in 1965 when Owen signed Conway to Decca. Owen knew that Conway was one of my heroes because I told him about that poster I had in my bedroom back when I was a 15-year-old housewife. One day, I stopped by the studio and Owen said, "How'd you like to meet Conway Twitty? You could have knocked me over with a chicken feather." "Well, turn around," Owen said, and right there in the room was the man in that poster. Holy shit, that would have been like me meeting Sean Cassidy. That's who I had a poster on my wall. I'd like to point that out too, for those of you that had Kirk Cameron on your locker. Now look at what you've done. He's hosting super spreader events in California. So if you see him and you're a California termite, run like a motherfucker, because he probably is infected. I don't know where you would see him. And I don't think on Twitter we need to refer to him anymore as actor Kirk Cameron. How about just Kirk? He ain't acting no more. At least not that I'm aware of. His sister, Candace Creme Brulee, as I call her, she's in all the Hallmark movies. Candace Cameron. But I've called her Candace Creme Brulee so long can't even really remember her real name. We got along well, but that wasn't when we started about recording together. That came on a trip in 1967 Wembley Festival in England. Dewey and me was fussing at each other like always. There was an empty seat between us. Conway come up and sat down, probably to keep us from working up a full-fledged feud. That's when the string beans start flying. I'd never seen anything like it. Doolittle was on a roll that whole trip. He kept telling Conway's jokes and stories and outright lies, and Conway was loving every minute of it. I could still hear him, I could still hear him laughing, and so could everyone else on the plane. They hung together through the whole trip. On the flight back to Nashville, Dew told Conway one more tall tales. By the time we got to Nashville, it was a done deal. Conway and me was going to make a record together. There was only two problems, Ernest Tubb and Owen Bradley. I wasn't sure if me singing with Conway would make Ernest feel like we had been traded in on a new model, and if that happened, I couldn't have stood it. I shouldn't have worried, though. Ernest had been in his business a long time, so a duet partner singing with someone else wasn't any big deal to him. Besides, doing duets with Conway didn't mean I still couldn't travel with Ernest from time to time and sing our songs. He gave me the blessing. Owen Bradley was another story. He told Conway he was dead set against it. Owen had seen what happened with Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner when they was recording a duet for RCA. They started squabbling and it turned darn near. They wrote darn. And it darn near rocked Music Row. Owen didn't want no mess like that at Decca. We finally convinced him we wasn't going to swabble our way across the tabloids, and he agreed. Now, Conway hadn't had a country hit when we first started thinking about duets. Now, Conway hadn't had a country hit when we first started thinking about duets. And some people thought it was strange that I might want to sing with a rock and roll singer. I can't really think I ever thought of Conway Twitty as a rock guy. Maybe he had a song. That never entered my mind. A great singer is a great singer. And it didn't matter anyway. It was 1971 when our first song together was released. Conway had proved he didn't have to take a country back seat to nobody. And in 1968 and 1970, Conway had 5 #1 songs. And he spent 10 weeks at the top of the chart. Our debut, After the Fire Is Gone, sat on top for 2 more weeks. Everybody was tickled. Nobody more than Doolittle Lynn. And we won our first Grammy for it, too. My friendship with Conway was so loving, so great. He became like a brother to me. I would go to him with my problems, including ones that involved Dew. And since he was friends with both of us, he never took sides. He just let me talk, try to pull things together, and give me whatever advice he could. He never once said, "Leave that dog." I would have. What he usually would say is something like, "Well, now, Loretta, you know how Mooney is. You live with them all these years. You two have a long history. I know you love each other. Just hang in there and be tough. Things will get better, I promise." Oh, probably not. That's what I'm gonna guess. Probably not. After I got free in my deal with the Wilburns, Conway and I started the booking agency I mentioned earlier, United Talent. Oh, that's who my agency is. United Talent. Yeah, I wonder if it's the same one. Probably not. I doubt it. Because I don't know. I'm sure they have country music people. Matter of fact, I know they do because I went to their little party in Nashville and I saw who? Charlie Daniels himself sitting in the corner in creamsicle orange Tennessee volunteer overalls. And let me tell you what, you don't miss a man in creamsicle colored overalls with a giant ass beard. He was very friendly. Super sweet. And it was great because I don't really care about country people, but I did care about Charlie Daniels. That was very cool. Conway and me were united. We were a team. That's how we felt anyway. That partnership lasted for 20 years and wouldn't have ended except for Conway's death. But before we started it, we sat down and had a long talk about a woman and a man partnering up. We promised we'd never, ever let ourselves get involved romantically, even if we was inclined, which we wasn't. Well, then there's no need to discuss all that. We promised to treat each other with respect. We started out as equals. Conway wasn't making me a star, and I wasn't making him one. Conway run interference between me and Du anytime he could. He'd talk to me or Du and try to find some solution. Sometimes, though, we just had to laugh. There was this one time we was all staying at the same hotel. We all arrived back from the show at the same time. Me and Du got into a fight in the parking lot with Conway right beside us, getting his things out of the car. Du was sitting in his car, and I was standing by his open window when he up and called me a bitch. Whoa. I reached my arm in the window and started beating him on the head with my purse. Okay. Pretty fair enough response, I suppose. Well, Conway run as fast as he could, heading for the hotel. I stopped off with Doolittle there yelling. I got into this one elevator with a bunch of other folks stood right in the front, muttered to myself about how I'd probably get a whooping when Du got back to the room. All of a sudden, I heard all this noise in the back of the elevator. Turned around, there was Conway, laughing so hard tears was falling down his cheeks. Who knows what them folks in the elevator thought? I got back to the room within a few minutes. The phone was ringing. It was Conway. Now, Loretta, don't you and Du keep on fighting. Why not? I asked. We fight all the time. So there's nothing I can do? Nope, I said, just stay out of it. Next time he did stay out of it, and Du didn't whoop me anyway. Next morning, Conway asked me what happened. Not one thing, I said. Du just come on up and went to bed. Conway just smiled and shook his head. Wouldn't it be fun to be on the road like that? Me and I can honestly say, no one that I've been on the road with has ever hit each other with purses or any other objects. People have gotten in bar fights, but not with one another. I've seen the one that I missed. I really kind of wish I had seen this one. So my friend Ron White, the comedian, and his guys, because he has a bus, and they were up somewhere in upstate New York. Not necessarily upstate, but somewhere in New York, not in New York City, like Albany or Buffalo or something like that. And they were like in an iHop that was a diner type thing that was attached to the hotel. It was after the show. And they went in to eat like a late breakfast, at 1 a.m. or something. And this lady came over. Their food had just gotten there. And this lady came over, a fan, and asked Ron, if she could get his autograph. And he said, sweetheart, I'll sign anything you want. Just let me eat these eggs while they're hot. That's a pretty normal, nice enough answer. Just give me 10 minutes. So she went back to her table. But they were drunk and they'd been at the show. I forgot that part because Ron said they'd been at the show. They had said that. And they were completely shit-faced, and Ron, believe it or not, was not. So then the boyfriend or husband of said woman came back over to the table and pushed Ron and said, you're an asshole for not signing an autograph. Well, Pat, Ron's tour manager, who's not very tall, 5'7", probably weighs 145 at most. He'd be a good UFC fighter, though. When that guy hit Ron, he jumped on his back, and Ron said, I've never laughed so hard at anything. He said Pat rode him around that diner like a bull, like it was the rodeo of his life. He would not let go, and he was just punching him in the face and hanging on. And then it's a funny visual because Pat's like as skinny as a jockey. And this guy, I said, how big was the guy? Ron goes, big enough to push me. That's all you need to know. I'm like, all right, yeah, but you were sitting down. I could push you while you're sitting down. I don't know if you'd fall, but I could do it. I could try. But anyway, Pat gave that guy, and the cops showed up, and for once, they didn't arrest Ron, even though he got involved at the end because he had to get Pat off. Pat had become like a tick on this man, and it was getting out of control. So then it went on and on and on. But everything was fine, and Ron didn't have to go to jail or nothing that night. Not that night. He's going to jail other nights, but not that night. Me and Conway never came close to any affair, even though half of Nashville thought we did one time or another. A lot of fans thought so, too, because it was hard for them to hear the songs and not think something was going on. I thought it was funny. And one time, even embarrassed Tara out of Conway, we was signing autographs at a big outdoor show in the early 80s when some man walks up, "Ain't you and Conway married?" Before Conway could jump in and say no, I says, "We're just living together." I guess that's a hoot back then. Well, he just turned red as a beet, threw his pen in the air, and walked off. I laughed till I thought I'd pee my pants. He wasn't mad, though, just embarrassed. In fact, the only time Conway Twitty ever got upset enough to jump all over me was because of my looks. Here's how that come about. In 1985, I decided my eyes was beginning to droop. Well, everybody I knew was having something done to their faces, so I decided to have some plastic surgery while I was at home. Me and Du had bought in Hawaii, so I talked to the doctor and I told him I wanted the tops of my eyes brought up and the wrinkles smoothed out. I didn't want no complete facelift, just enough to drop a couple years off me, so I got to look good in public after all, and I wasn't no 20-year-old chick. We'd set it up and get it done in his office. And he said it'd be so simple I could just do it as an outpatient. I didn't even have to be put to sleep. Oh, fuck. He'd just take something to kill the pain. I warned him that I get blood poisoning awful easy, and he brushed that right off. Maybe this is a good place to stop here, shall we? I want to know what's next. That's going to keep you guys hanging. What'd she do to her face? What? All right, termites. It's the holidays for you guys who still have jobs and are working. Congratulations. We've made it this far. And I'm not going to say 2021 has to be better, because fuck only knows what could really happen. But I'm hoping it'll be better, just by changing the number. Okay, termites. I think all the podcast shirts went out, so thank you if you order. They're sold out, I think. That's what they told me in an email, but I don't really check emails so much lately, because there's really nothing there except junk. And then I get pissed off. Now I'm getting junk mail in foreign languages, and I don't know the word for unsubscribe in Polish, so I have to stay on the email. I'm also being stalked by Sherry's Berries. Anybody ever order from there? I did like 100 years ago. And then they just inundate you, so do Omaha Steaks, with emails that never ever stop. Then I got off Sherry's Berries, and now I'm back on, and I didn't do it. And I know there's one other Kathleen Madigan. I've met her. Maybe they think I'm her. Maybe she's ordering fucking Sherry's Berries. I'm going to have to get on Twitter and find that she's way smarter. That lady writes financial articles, big ones, hard ones, about global currencies and all kinds of stuff. Somebody thought it was me for once. They go, "Oh my God, I can't believe you can do this in the day." I'm like, really? You think I know all that? And then I go to the hoopty-ha schmooky schmook at night as Jokey the Clown? Nay, nay, as John Panette would say. That is pas moi. All right, termites, pull up your sheets. You're worthy. Some of you are extra chubby. And somebody said thank you for not putting a fat tax on the t-shirt. You're very welcome, and thank you for at least acknowledging that, yes, those do cost more. But I'm not passing that charge on, because it's the goddamn holidays. And you may not feel so great about getting extra chubby in quarantine, but so many people have. Don't worry about it. We're all going to resurface in 2021 and go, "Holy shit, dude, you got so fat." I had one relative that got so fat, he warned me before I saw him, because I hadn't seen him in a couple years, that he'd gotten fat. And I said, "Well, how fat have you gotten?" He goes, an alarming amount. And I'm telling you now because I don't want to see the look on your face if you haven't been warned when you see me. Fair enough. All right, termites, pull your sheets up. Are you ready? Night, night, termites.